Have you ever locked eyes with someone for the very first time and felt like your soul already knew theirs? No words exchanged, no small talk, just that strange grounding calm, as if your heart sighed in relief and whispered, "You're safe here." That moment isn't luck. It's not coincidence. It's what Carl Jung called synchronicity, when two souls align not by chance, but because they're vibrating at the same frequency. It's rare, it's intense, and when it happens, the rest of the world fades into the background. Conversations go deeper, silence feels sacred, and there's no need for masks or explanations. They don't just hear your words. They feel your energy, but here's the truth most people don't want to hear. Not every deep connection is meant to last. Some people don't come to stay, they come to awaken. They show up like a storm, unforgettable, electrifying. And before you know it, they're gone. They leave behind questions, clarity, and sometimes a small fracture in your heart that never fully closes. So how do you know? How do you know if this person is your soulmate or just a mirror? A reflection of your wounds, your growth, or your unfinished healing? Let's break it down. Because the truth is simple but powerful. Some connections are your destiny. Some are your lesson. And if you don't know the difference, you might end up holding on to a ghost while letting go of your guide. Chapter 1. Synchronicity. The soul's timing is never wrong. Carl Jung once said, "What you meet in another being is the mirror of your own soul." Have you ever met someone and felt something shift inside you? It wasn't about looks or charm, it wasn't logical attraction. It was deeper, like an echo of something ancient and familiar. That's synchronicity, a meaningful coincidence where two people cross paths not by luck but by invisible design. Jung believed that beneath our conscious choices there's a thread, unseen but alive, that connects us through energy, vibration, and frequency. And when that thread tightens, two souls align in perfect harmony without even knowing why. We like to think relationships begin with logic, shared hobbies, timing, or chemistry, but the most powerful ones, they start in silence. They begin in the energy field, that unspoken magnetic pull you can't explain. That's why you can meet 1,000 people and feel nothing, and then meet one person and feel everything. Because this isn't about surface attraction, it's about resonance. Your soul is like a piano, and they walk in and strike a key you didn't even know existed. Suddenly you remember a forgotten part of yourself. They awaken something inside you, not because they brought it, but because they mirrored it. And that's the secret. You don't fall in love with them. You fall in love with the version of yourself that comes alive in their presence. Maybe they bring out your softness in a world that hardened you. Maybe they challenge you in ways that scare you but also push you to grow. Maybe they reflect your pain so clearly that you can't avoid facing it anymore. That's the magic of synchronicity. It doesn't rely on perfect timing or flawless circumstances. It's about perfect alignment. They arrive when your soul is ready. Not when your life looks perfect, not when you've healed every scar, but when you're cracked open just enough to receive a deeper truth. Because some people don't come to stay, they come to awaken. They're not your forever. They're your mirror, your spark, your storm. They shake your world not to break it, but to show you what's been asleep within you all along. So the next time someone walks into your life and it feels like destiny, don't just ask, who are they? Ask yourself, what part of me are they reflecting back? Because the soul's timing is never wrong, and every synchronistic meeting carries a message, if you're still enough to listen. Chapter 2. You attract what you haven't healed. Carl Jung once said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Let me ask you something real. Have you ever looked back on your relationships and thought, why do I keep attracting the same pain? Different people, same heartbreak, different story, same ending. That's not fate. That's not bad luck. That's your unhealed self doing the choosing. See, most people don't realize we don't attract what we want. We attract what we are. More specifically, we attract what still needs healing inside of us. If you carry wounds of not feeling enough, you'll meet people who make you feel exactly that. Not enough. If you fear abandonment, you'll fall for the ones who always leave. If your self-worth is shaky, you'll draw in those who constantly test your value. Not because the world is cruel, but because your soul is trying to get your attention. Pain isn't punishment. Pain is a teacher. Every broken relationship isn't a curse. It's a classroom. It's showing you where you still bleed. It's revealing the parts of you that whisper, "I'm not healed yet." But most of us don't listen. We blame the person. We curse love. We shut down, when in reality it's not about them. It's about the mirror they held up. Because relationships, especially painful ones, are mirrors. They don't create your wounds. They reveal them. They show you the fear you buried, the trauma you avoided, the stories you repeat in silence when no one's watching. And until you look into that mirror with honesty instead of blame, you'll keep attracting the same lessons, just wearing different faces. The people who ghosted you, they mirrored your fear of abandonment. The ones who made you chase their love, they revealed your hidden belief that you have to earn affection. The emotionally unavailable ones, they mirrored your own avoidance of vulnerability. Every person is a message. Every heartbreak is a wake-up call. And here's the hardest truth of all. You cannot heal in the same place you were hurt. But you can heal by understanding why you were drawn to that pain in the first place. There are people who walk into your life like wildfires. Sudden, consuming, unstoppable. They don't ask permission. They don't knock. They simply appear. And from that moment on, your world is never the same. You weren't looking for them. You weren't even ready. But something about their presence feels like home. Like your soul remembers them from a time before time. The connection is overwhelming. The chemistry electric. The conversations endless. The silence more intimate than words could ever be. And so you start to believe, this must be fate. This must be the one. But then one day they're gone, and you're left standing in the empty space they filled so effortlessly, replaying every moment, every smile, every heartbeat, trying to understand how something that felt so right could vanish so fast. You start to doubt. Was it real? Did I imagine it? Was I the only one who felt it this deeply? Here's the truth, one that's painful but freeing. Not all soulmates are meant to stay. Yes, they were real. Yes, the connection mattered, but that doesn't mean they were your forever. Some soulmates don't come to stay. They come to awaken. They appear when your soul is asleep, when you've forgotten your worth, settled for less, or buried your truth so deep that you can't even hear your own voice anymore. And they come like fire, to burn away illusions, to destroy false beliefs, to break your heart wide open so that light can finally enter. It hurts because it's supposed to. Growth always does. We confuse intensity with destiny. We think if it's powerful, it must be permanent. But that's not how the soul works. Some people aren't meant to be your lifelong partner. They're meant to be your divine disruption. They're not here to complete your story. They're here to redirect it. They come to challenge your ego, to trigger your wounds, to force you to face the parts of yourself you've been avoiding. They are karmic. They are mirrors. They are warnings in disguise. And if you don't learn the lesson they bring, the universe will keep sending new versions of them. Different names, different faces, same pattern, same heartbreak, until you finally understand what it was trying to teach you all along. The lesson is never about them. It's about you. It's about asking, what did this awaken in me that needed healing? Because every storm leaves behind clarity. Every wound carries wisdom. Every goodbye creates space for your true self to emerge. Some people are not the chapter. They're the sentence that changes the direction of your entire story. They weren't here to love you forever. They were here to remind you how to love yourself better. So instead of mourning their absence, honor their role. Thank them for the chaos, because that chaos cracked you open in all the right places, and when you heal, when you stop romanticizing pain, you'll realize something beautiful. The greatest soulmate you'll ever meet is the version of you that chose growth over attachment. Chapter 4, Love Begins with Wholeness, Not Hunger. Carl Jung once said, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed." We live in a world obsessed with finding the one, the perfect person, the missing piece, the soulmate who will complete us. But here's the uncomfortable truth. No one can complete you if you haven't completed yourself. Because love that comes from hunger isn't love. It's dependency. It's desperation. It's an attempt to fill a void that was never meant to be filled by another person. We attract what we are, not what we wish for. If your soul is full of chaos and confusion, you'll attract people who mirror that chaos right back to you. Not because the universe is cruel, but because it's consistent. That's why the broken often fall for the unavailable. The insecure chase the distant. The lonely settle for less than they deserve. It's not fate, it's frequency. And frequency doesn't lie. See, energy doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to what you believe, to your vibration, to your self-worth. If you're walking through life hungry for love, validation, and rescue, you'll attract partners who reflect your hunger, not your wholeness. They won't give you peace, they'll give you intensity. And intensity without stability, that's a fire that burns everything down. You'll call it passion, but it's really pain in disguise. You'll call it love, but it's trauma dressed as romance. Because real love doesn't feel like addiction. It feels like alignment. It doesn't drain you, it steadies you. It doesn't make you question your worth. It reminds you of it. Love begins not when you find someone, but when you become someone. Not perfect, but whole. Wholeness doesn't mean you never get triggered. It means you don't expect someone else to soothe every wound. It means you've faced your shadows, healed your past, and learned to give yourself the love you once begged for. When you're whole, you stop chasing people who only feed your emptiness. You start attracting people who match your peace. You stop falling for temporary highs. You start building with those who bring permanent growth. It's not magic, it's emotional physics. Because when your frequency changes, your relationships change. The people who once felt magnetic start to feel chaotic. The ones who ignored you no longer appeal to you, and the souls meant for the healed version of you begin to appear, effortlessly. Love finds you when you no longer need it to save you. It finds you when you've stopped asking, "Who will complete me?" and started declaring, "I am whole." That's when love becomes transformation, not transaction. That's when two complete beings choose each other from strength, not fear. So if you're tired of heartbreak, if you're exhausted from patterns that keep wounding you, don't look outward, look inward. Heal your wounds, raise your standards. Elevate your frequency, because when your energy becomes whole, your love will too. Chapter 5, The Illusion of Forever. We grew up on fairy tales, on stories that promised love should last forever. That real love never fades, that if it ends, it must not have been real. But life teaches us differently. Not every soul is meant to stay, and that doesn't make the connection any less real. Every soul you meet has a season. Some come to teach you how to love. Some come to teach you how to let go. Some mirror your higher self. Some warn you of what you never want to repeat. But none of them are mistakes. Not even the painful ones, especially not the painful ones, because the pain was the portal. The ending was the awakening. The real mistake isn't that it ended. It's that we try to hold on when the soul has already outgrown the bond. We beg, we chase, we shrink ourselves to fit a connection that no longer fits us. And what happens? We suffer. Not because they changed, but because we did. When your energy evolves, not everyone will grow with you. And no amount of effort, nostalgia, or convincing can make two souls align when they've grown in different directions. It's like forcing your foot into shoes that once fit perfectly but now hurt with every step. You can wear them, but you'll bleed for it. That's what happens when you cling to people who no longer match your vibration. Love was never meant to be a prison. It was meant to be a portal to freedom. When the purpose of a soul connection is complete, you'll feel it. A quiet disconnection, a stillness that says it's time. And that's where courage comes in. The courage to let go, to release the illusion of forever, and to walk away not in bitterness, but in gratitude. Letting go doesn't mean you didn't care. It means you care about your growth more than your fear of being alone. You're not losing them, you're finding yourself. Because the person you were in that love was still learning, still afraid, still searching. But now you're different, now you see. No connection is worth sacrificing your evolution. So bless the bond, thank the experience, and walk forward, open, whole, and ready. Because true love doesn't chain you to forever. True love sets you free. Carl Jung once said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." It's easy to point fingers, to say, "They hurt me, they abandoned me, they changed." But what if, just what if, the people who triggered you weren't villains at all, but mirrors? What if every person who cracked your heart open was showing you something about you, something you weren't ready to see? Your triggers aren't random. Your patterns aren't meaningless. They're messages from your subconscious, from your soul. When someone disrespects you, ignores you, or makes you feel small, don't just look at them. Look at what part of you allowed that. What part of you needed that mirror to wake up? Because every relationship, especially the painful ones, is a reflection. It shows you where you're still bleeding. It shows you the wounds you've hidden behind "I'm fine." Think about the one person you can't seem to get over. You replay their words, analyze their texts, hold on to memories like they're proof that something deeper existed. But the truth is, they weren't your destiny. They were your unfinished business. They didn't come to stay. They came to reflect. They reflected your fear of being forgotten, your insecurity about being enough, your craving for validation, your deep-rooted belief that love must be earned. You don't need closure from them. You need clarity within yourself. Because what you seek in others is often what you withhold from yourself. Their silence triggered your fear of invisibility. Their rejection triggered your fear of inadequacy. Their distance mirrored your avoidance of your own inner wounds. This isn't about blame. It's about awareness. Because when you realize people are mirrors, not enemies, everything shifts. You stop trying to fix them. You start healing you. Every soul you meet mirrors either your wholeness or your wounds. The ones who uplift you reflect your healed energy, your peace, your confidence, your alignment. The ones who trigger you reflect your pain, fear, and denial. And both are essential, because both carry the keys to your next level of growth. The mistake most of us make? We run from the mirror, we block them, we distract ourselves, we jump into new relationships before the old wounds close. But the mirror never disappears. It just changes faces. You'll keep meeting the same energy again and again until you finally stop running and look. Because when you stop fearing the reflection and face it with courage, that's when the cycle ends. That's when healing begins. That's when transformation truly starts. So the next time someone triggers you, ask yourself, what is this showing me about me? That's not weakness, that's power. Because clarity, even when it's uncomfortable, is the beginning of freedom. The mirror never lies, but it will always show you the truth you're finally ready to see. Chapter 7, When Two Whole Souls Meet. There comes a time, after all the heartbreaks, after all the sleepless nights questioning your worth, when something inside you shifts. You stop chasing. You stop begging. You stop trying to mold yourself into whatever shape you think someone will love. And instead, you start doing the real work. You face your pain. You sit with your shadows. You unlearn the story that said love has to be earned. You give yourself the validation you used to crave from others. You heal. Not perfectly, not completely, but enough to stand on your own 2 feet again. And then, almost quietly, something beautiful happens. The right soul arrives. Not to fix you, not to complete you, but to meet you exactly where you are. There are no games, no manipulation, no anxious waiting for texts, just resonance, just alignment, just peace. You don't need to perform, you don't need to prove, you don't need to fear their silence. Because their presence already feels like home. This kind of love doesn't ignite chaos. It calms it. It doesn't make you question. It makes you sure. It doesn't feel like drowning. It feels like breathing. You laugh more. You rest deeper. You trust again. Not because they're perfect, but because you are whole enough to not collapse if they aren't. You don't need them to save you. You've already done that. You don't need them to fill the void. You've already filled it with purpose, healing, and self-respect. And that's when love becomes magic. Not the explosive kind that burns fast, but the slow, steady fire that warms everything it touches. No obsession, just deep recognition. Like 2 travelers who have finally made it home after lifetimes of searching. You don't complete each other, because you were never incomplete. You complement each other. Their presence doesn't fix your life. It amplifies the joy you already created. Their love doesn't patch your wounds. It honors the strength that healed them. This kind of love is sacred, not because it's perfect, but because it's real, rooted in self-awareness, in mutual respect, in emotional peace. It's the reward for all the inner work, the gift that arrives when you stop settling for chaos disguised as passion. So if you're still healing, still peeling back the layers, still learning to sit with your pain, keep going. Because when you do the work, when you've made peace with your past, when you've fallen in love with your own presence, that's when your person shows up, not to rescue you, but to rise with you. The Carl Jung Challenge. So here's the challenge, not from me, but from life itself. Stop searching for love. Start searching for you. Because the deep soul-level connection you dream about isn't hiding in someone else. It's been waiting within you all along. The person you hope to find. They can't meet you until you've met yourself. Not just the pretty parts, not just the successes, but the parts you've buried. The fears, the guilt, the shame, the wounds. Carl Jung said, "Your vision will become clear only when you look into your heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens." You've been dreaming long enough. It's time to awaken. Sit with your shadows. Heal the echoes. Tear down every lie that told you you're unworthy of love unless you prove something. Because here's the truth. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. So if you want love that feels whole, sacred, peaceful, become that. Become whole, become sacred, become peace. Do the work. Answer your soul. And the ones meant for you won't be random. They'll be drawn to you by alignment, not by chance, by frequency. This is your challenge, your journey, your awakening. Are you ready? If this message hit you deep, it's not an accident. Your soul needed this reminder. No more waiting for someone to save you. No more chasing what runs from your worth. It's time. Face the mirror. Heal what hurts. Forgive what broke you, not for them, but for your freedom. Release what no longer fits your future. And rise as the version of yourself your younger self dreamed you'd become. Because real growth isn't loud, it's not flashy, it's quiet, grounded, and rooted in self-respect. If you're ready, truly ready, and say it out loud or comment it below, I am evolving, not as a phrase, but as a declaration. To your past, to your pain, to your potential. Let the algorithm bring the noise, you bring the truth. Subscribe for more raw, soul-level truths. Not to inspire you, but to transform you. Because this journey was never about chasing validation. It's about becoming untouchable. And it starts where it always has, from within. You already have everything you've been searching for. Now become the one who finally owns it.